By 1814, the American army had learned some hard lessons from their losses against the British. Over the winter, General Jacob Brown assumed command and with the help of Winfield Scott, transformed his soldiers into an effective fighting force. In early July, Brown crossed the Niagara River and overwhelmed the defenders here at Fort Erie. A few days later, he defeated the British at the Battle of Chippewa. For the first time, the British broke under American fire. Finally, a professional U.S. Army had arrived in Upper Canada. Brown lacked the naval support to attack Fort George, so instead he gathered supplies and decided to march towards Burlington Heights. On July 25, 1814, a British force sitting at a place called Lundy's Lane decided to get out of the way and retreat to Fort George. But on the very morning of the battle, a new Canadian-born commander arrived on the scene with reinforcements. Lieutenant General Gordon Drummond was an able, though often brutal and unbending commander. There would be no retreat. Drummond ordered his men to stand and await the Americans at Lundy's Lane. A detachment of the U.S. Army under Winfield Scott arrived in the early evening and the battle commenced. The Americans surprised the Canadians on the British left, threatening the entire British line. Though the British rallied and pushed back their attackers, they could tell this was not the same American army that they had bested at Queenston Heights and Stony Creek. As night fell, the main American force under General Brown arrived and charged straight at the British artillery. In the ensuing fight, the American regulars took the cannon and repelled the British counterattack. Drummond threw his redcoats at the American line on this hill in several failed attempts to retake the cannon. In the darkness and confusion, men lost their way, fired into their own ranks, and fought hand-to-hand. By midnight, both sides were bloodied and exhausted. With both Generals Brown and Scott wounded, the Americans withdrew. Drummond quickly occupied the Cemetery Hill, reclaimed his artillery, and declared victory. In the end, the battle had left over 1,700 men killed, missing, or wounded. Lundy's Lane was one of the deadliest battles ever fought on Canadian soil. The American Army proved that they were no longer a band of frightened militia, but were soldiers that could stand toe-to-toe with the British. Nonetheless, the Battle of Lundy's Lane forced them to retreat to Fort Erie, and they were never again able to advance into Upper Canada.